Right, let's get into this. Gamers, Scrappers rejoice. Because here's the quick update here from CMC. Since the preview, we've seen a lot of feedback around the proposed change to convert Scrapper gyros into ground-targeted stationary spells. The main concern we're seeing is this change would remove the unique feeling of the skills without replacing it with something new. We agree. We'll be reverting the proposed changes, and we'll be making a different set of adjustments to Purge and Sneak Gyro for World vs. World. For clarification, we'll still be changing Defense Field into a ground-targeted skill in the October 4th update. We'd still like to take a pass on updating the design of Scrapper Gyros in the future, but not until we work out a replacement mechanic that both feels unique and fun to use. As always, thanks to everyone who gave feedback on the upcoming changes. We really appreciate it. So honestly, this... kind of no matter what side of the issue here that you fall on, I think there's some good communication here from ArenaNet. One, we're seeing a solution to something that really upset a lot of players. Secondly, they're saying we're aware that the design might still be problematic and we're going to try and maybe change it again down the line, but make it fun instead. That might worry people a little bit. They might be kind of like, oh no, they're going to change the gyros again. But I'm sure, look, hey, gyros got changed originally into something that was a lot more fun. Maybe they'll also be able to find something that is a lot of fun too. And you know what? I've got to say a little bit of a meme here, by the way, guys, because look at these replacement changes. Sneak Gyro, stealth duration from 1.5 down to 1, reduce the number of pulses from 6 to 3, and it's no longer a smoke field. And this is a nice change too. I didn't think they'd be able to do that on such a short notice. A visual indicator. That means you can kind of track where people are a little bit better compared to now where you just vanish into thin air. And Purge Gyro, cooldown from 20 to 30. I don't want to say anything. Okay, people actually kind of meaned me a little bit for even bothering to give feedback in a YouTube video I made a while back, actually, or a few days ago, about this. But these are actually basically the changes that I thought would be really good. Now, I'm not saying that CMC was like, oh, I'm just going to watch Teapot's video and kind of watch Teapot's video and just go ahead and steal those. But no, I actually really like the design direction here. This is kind of the things that I came up with. It addresses the issue of stealth being too dominant and too high duration, too much versatility, too much utility, over cleansing, and so on. In terms of cleanse, there are actually some really strong builds. Funny enough, Catalyst is seeing a lot of play in World vs. World right now for removing conditions. And of course, Tempest will still be a solid option too. So reducing the cleanse might not actually need to come down as much as you might expect. The purity of purpose really helps out, of course, with the extra boon application. But I think these changes will actually help a lot, particularly the smoke field, as that what was really allowed you to get these ridiculous stealth durations and some insane value out of this elite skill that you kind of get in for free. I think this still does leave some really high strength changes, actually. Or really high strength within Scrapper, so I'm not sure if it's really going to be as impactful as you might expect, but it certainly brings, say, Sneak Gyro more in line with something like Veil, right? Where Veil is you put down your Chronomancer little thing there, and then everyone runs through it and everyone gets stealthed up. Of course, Gyro, or the Chronomancer doesn't quite have the same level of extreme versatility and value that Scrapper has in terms of a secondary support, but I think moving things closer together in that direction by giving more stability to Chronomancer will certainly help. I would expect to see more changes down the line in this regard. And, well, we already know that they're going to do that, but yeah. You can actually see here that Sneak Gyro stealth is going to go down a lot. And by the way, one of the reasons why I didn't say stealth from 1.5 to 1 second is because I thought that maybe if you have a 1 second pulsing stealth field, does that even work? When you get revealed and then stealth again? That feels really weird, but it looks like they actually can do that. It'll be a 3 second stealth for 5 people, and it's no longer a smoke field. That greatly reduces the power level of this ability. And again, Purge Gyro cooldown going up. That's less super speed, less condition cleanse, right? Still a very powerful ability though. But the real thing here is that the design of Scrapper is going to stay the same. And I'm kind of in favor of this, right? Or rather, no, not necessarily in favor of it being the same. I like the fact that every well is different. You know, like a Spectre well, you teleport and you put a well down. Gyros follow you around. Necromancer wells are just ranged. Chronomancer wells have a special effect at the end of the well, right? I think elite specializations in different professions, having a different take on ability types is really important. So I think this is a very good compromise that ArenaNet have come to, and we'll still try to shake up the World vs. World meta a little bit and make certain mechanics less problematic in this game mode. And, that's good, There is one thing I do want to mention here, right, at the end. We've got to talk about this a little bit, Okay, she had not yet, in fact. There was actually a criticism of removing the smoke field that I think was actually very interesting, and I think this is definitely worth considering, is the fact that because now you don't have a smoke field, if you don't have a scrapper in your subgroup, that means it's going to be a lot harder to get stealth. The concern here is that, well, in a way that makes Scrapper more mandatory because you still want stealth because stealth is so good. But now it's almost like, well, you can't actually blast to get the stealth. You're just going to need to Scrapper directly. And that could potentially be an issue down the line. I think the solution to that is actually just maybe making stealth access or at least smoke field access a little bit easier to come by if we want to improve stealth access in World versus World. However, I would almost say that that's the wrong way to approach the problem. I would say that stealth in World versus World is kind of a busted mechanic, to be honest. Like, pure invisibility on like 50 players is pretty wild. So I would actually probably go it the other direction. I'd look at making reveal a little bit better and basically making stealth worse rather than making stealth more prevalent, because I think stealth is actually kind of an unfun mechanic to engage in a lot of the time, particularly if it's very high duration when it comes to World versus World and concealing massive armies of players. So that's kind of my take on that. I think stealth will still be a problem, but that's because stealth is problematic, I think, right? Just in general. Of course, NG still has bomb kit you can use, but then you have to kind of give up a utility slot to do it in combat, right? If you're, of course, if you're out of combat, you can bomb kit and then swap the ability. But if you're in combat, well, now you're stuck with bomb kit, which maybe isn't super ideal on Scrapper. But yeah, you can either share it out a little bit, look at reveal, make stealth a bit worse, equalize things out a little bit there, so it's not such a defining and polarizing mechanic as it is right now. But yeah, that's how it is. To kind of round things out a little bit here, I want to talk a little bit about the meta conversation about this. So obviously when this change came through, there were a lot of players who play a lot of PvE who were very upset with this. And were like, wait a minute, my game mode is being compromised for the sake of World versus World. And you know what? That's fair enough. I think that can feel super bad, actually. However, there's something I really want to point out here that's incredibly important. And let's have a little bit of empathy here. I want to quickly point out that almost every change in the history of Guild Wars 2 balance-wise, new elite specializations, ability reworks, all of this has been at the massive detriment to World versus World and PvP. PvP and World versus World have suffered year after year with horrible design and things that break their game modes to a disgustingly unfun degree for PvE. And I'm not saying either is good. I'm saying we've got to be careful of both. We've got to be careful both ways. We don't want to screw over any game mode, right? To be clear. But I really hope that this will allow different communities in Guild Wars 2 to actually empathize here and go, man, oh yeah, I can see that some of these designs are really problematic in that game mode that you really love. And yeah, some of this stuff is super problematic. And we're going to need to maybe find some way to address it and adjust it. Because this is nothing new for anyone who plays PvP in World versus World. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. This is just a reality of balance for those game modes. And yeah, you can say, oh, but those game modes aren't as popular. You can say that, but I don't think that justifies like destroying them or severely compromising them just because of that. I don't think that feels very good at all. That's not the way we want to go about things. We want to find solutions and methods and suggestions that will actually work in every game mode or as many game modes as possible so that everyone can have fun in whatever way they want to play the game, right? I would even, do the same thing with each micro community within PvE. I think builds should have great potential in open world and in fractals and in dungeons and in raids and in strike missions. But I also think that we need to be taking care of balance in PvP and World versus World too, because it's just so impactful there, right? Like, we complain about class balance and class diversity in PvE, but have you guys seen World versus World? We've been playing the same shit since day one of the game, okay? You know what I mean? Right, we've got to play ball here a little bit, I think. These game modes are important, especially World vs. World, I'd say. It's a really fantastic, unique selling point for Guild Wars 2, right? And yeah, that would just be kind of my final conclusion on this, on the Scrapper saga, right? The Guild Wars 2 Scrapper saga is that have a little empathy and let's have some proper conversations and voice our concerns. There are legitimate concerns, but I think we absolutely have to respect that sometimes we might have to make a few changes to make sure that the game remains healthy. And I would say that the other way too. If there was something like that was totally broken in PvE, but fine in, say, world versus world in PvP, then yeah, that has to be solved some way. There needs to be a solution to that in some way. The answer is saying, well, you know, you guys just got to suck it up. That's not the way to do this. But anyway, very interesting stuff. I kind of expected them to end up reverting this because there was so much outcry. And, you know, I think that it did make Scrapper gyros pretty boring, pretty uninteresting abilities to use. So I do like the idea of them coming up with a different idea down the line because, make no mistake, like point blank AoE is still a little spooky in any kind of competitive game mode, right? Like pulsing AoEs that follow you around and chase you around is like, yeah, a little bit tricky. But I still would like to see some more changes to Scrapper to reduce its versatility, to just reduce its power level a little bit, so it isn't that kind of jack of all trades, master of all, right, that it currently is as a secondary support in World vs. World. But there it is. Good communication, swift response here from CMC. I think this is going to make a lot of people happy, and yeah, we've got to give more feedback, continue to try to make these game modes better, and, you know, work together for the betterment of Guild Wars 2. That's it. Boom. Done. Easy.